Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Josh, or Jay Dizzle, as a lot of folks know me as. And for folks who know me well or have followed along for quite some time, you'll know that I've been a pretty big video game enthusiast most of my life and enjoyed playing the games, and even had a little podcast that had a little bit of traction, here and there over the years, called the World Map Podcast. And of course, over time, as life responsibilities and things took over, I let that sort of lapse, but I still have my original YouTube channel, and for the past few years have just uploaded a quick annual video to recap my top favorite video games each year, to share primarily with the DLC Discord community. There's a lot of folks on there that I chat with regularly who, for some reason, are interested in me doing this and hearing this still each year. And then it's just a fun thing to kind of like share with friends and generate some conversation too. So why not? So this will be a quick video, and I'll upload it to YouTube, as I've done every year basically for the last few years, and talk about my favorite games. My list this year is the shortest it has ever been. As folks may know, who have followed along for quite a while, it seems to get shorter every year. And I think, there's a lot of reasons for that, a lot of life responsibilities, a lot of sort of focus and priorities on spending my time in ways that I just enjoy more, feel more, or more important, especially, focusing on relationships and health, and of course my children. And it's mostly that, but it's also that I just don't find a lot of modern games to have the draw and to be as interesting as the things that I really loved at sort of what was the peak of gaming for me personally, kind of from like the mid 90s through, like, the early to late first decade there of the 2000s. And I think, we don't get a lot of really narrative rich, story driven video game experiences these days. There's still some of them, and I'm going to talk about a couple of them. But a lot of stuff is focused on that kind of quick session, free to play model to sell skins and all that sort of stuff, or highly competitive sort of online multiplayer, etc. And that's just not really something. I don't know. When I think about playing those games, it just doesn't interest me. I don't get sort of the same itch from those that I get from playing primarily narrative driven games, or games that just offer up and do something really creative or different. That's really important to me if I'm going to spend any time with the game, that kind of now where I'm at in my life. And I also find that a lot of games are just super super long. There's so many experiences out there that are 100+ hours to experience all the content, and nobody has time for that. I mean, maybe if you're in high school or college or something, you're younger, maybe you've got time for that. I don't have time for that. I don't even really think I want to have time for that. So I really also enjoy games that respect my time, where I feel like I'm progressing every time I have a session, where it's kind of easy to pick up and learn the game's mechanics and controls and systems, and get something out of it. Anywhere from a 10 to 40 hour experience feels like a good sweet spot for me, for a game. Maybe inching closer to that 40-hour experience for some of the RPGs, which I'm going to, of course, talk about a couple on my list. And most of where my interests lie are sort of in the RPG or RPG adjacent realm primarily. And so I don't know. I think gaming has shifted as sort of a focus and an entertainment medium, but there's just so much out there now too. So many great indie developers and everything. You can't play everything in the way that you used to be able to do. And I really focus on things that I feel like I'm actually getting something out of. Right? They're stimulating creativity. They're allowing me to use my mind to experience something new, to experience a great story, or to come up with smart strategies or something, and kind of serve as the same way that people might play Sudoku or do a crossword puzzle. That's the kind of stuff I really enjoy, and I've focused primarily on things too that I can pick up and play on the go on my Steam Deck when I'm on a long flight, or maybe I'm hanging out at the library for a little while and need a break from reading. By the way, I am on track to read 100 books this year. I might not quite get there. I'm going to try. A few days left in the year. But I have read a crazy amount of books this year, which I'll talk about or share in some other way. But anyway, that's kind of where I'm at in terms of gaming tastes now. So I'll jump into the list. I'll hit these really high level pretty quick. You can go Google them, look up videos, other reviews and things if you're interested in learning more about any of them. But this, for me, are personally my favorite games of the year. And this year I only am doing 5. I've done, I think, as many as 25 before. Kind of trimmed it back year on year. I've done like honorable mentions and all kinds of things. I'm just going to focus on 5. And of these 5, I finished 4 of them, rolled credits on 4 of them. The 5th one I actually have not finished. I don't know if I will finish it, but I just wanted to kind of put that out there too, that these are games that I enjoyed them enough to put significant time into them or finish them. I dabbled in a few other things. There's things that aren't on my list that I enjoyed, like parts of Shinobi, parts of Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, parts of Ball X Pit. There are a few others out there that I kind of dabbled in, especially if they were included on Game Pass and that sort of thing. But these are the games that I really like kind of gravitated to and put time in when I was, on a long flight or something like that. So number 5 is Donkey Kong Bonanza. And I think this game is really great. I'm very disappointed that it's not a new entry in the Donkey Kong Country franchise. I would much rather have a sort of 2D, 2.5D side-scrolling Donkey Kong Country game. I like those. I like the challenge that those have. I love that style of game, and it's been a little while since Nintendo put one of those out. But hopefully we'll get one soon. I was very skeptical of Bonanza, but it was literally the only thing other than Mario Kart that was out on Switch 2. And I had gotten the Switch 2 primarily just for my kids to play Mario Kart World and that sort of thing. We won't even get into Mario Kart World and the disappointment that is, but Donkey Kong Bonanza is actually a lot of fun. And it's a lot of fun because of how different it is. It sort of the way that Mario Odyssey kind of revamped how Mario games in 3D work. This game is taking a completely different approach to Donkey Kong games, but also any of the, like the previous 3D Donkey Kong game that there was. This is very different, and it's basically every level of the game is just a giant destructible playground where you're just punching as a big giant monkey, punching rocks and essentially mining out fossils and gems and all this stuff, and just finding the things that you need to find to kind of unlock puzzles to get down to the next level. And you're sort of drilling through levels of a big planet trying to get down to the core is basically the overarching story of the game, although the story is very light and not that important. It's a really fun game. The reason I didn't finish it, I feel like it starts very slow. I was very skeptical for the first couple of hours. My youngest daughter enjoys watching this game and also enjoys doing the co-op with me, where she rides on my back as Pauline and gets to yell stuff and all that and use some of those powers, although that co-op mode is totally broken. It just like breaks the game. The co-op mode makes the game too easy, but I think that's the point if you're playing with a kid. And so we had a great time together, my youngest daughter and I, with this game, and that's part of the reason I really like it. And it's just interesting how different it is from anything else that's out there. And I started slow, then I started to really like it, and then after I unlocked like the 3rd animal power or so, I started to feel like, this is kind of, it's a little different with each power that you get, but it's kind of the same every level, and I just fell off of it and I haven't gone back to it. I still think it's a brilliant game, very creative. I like that it does so many things different, and it's got that sort of quick dopamine hits, right? Where you're smash, and you find something, and you smash some more and you find something else, and you're constantly getting little rewards in this game. And so I just thought that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. So that's my number 5 game. Didn't finish it. Maybe I will, especially if my youngest daughter decides that she wants to play some more. I'm sure we'll finish it at some point. My number 4 game is a game I'm suspecting a lot of people haven't heard of. It's called Pipistrello. That's Pipistrello, Pipistrello, and the Cursed Yo-Yo. And I came across this game because someone in Discord mentioned it. Kind of a little pixel, old school, retro looking style art style to this game. Kind of you're in an overworld similar to like an old school Legend of Zelda or something like that. And you're basically just walking through this world solving environmental puzzles. And you're doing it with a yo-yo. Your character has a yo-yo that is possessed by his dead aunt. It's a very weird game. The main characters are all animals. You happen to play as a bat, and the aunt is a bat. So it's like a family of bats. And you're basically, your aunt was a crime boss in this city, and she is defeated by 4 other crime bosses, and you're going around trying to steal mega batteries from them to fuel a machine that can bring your dead aunt back to life. All of that is completely irrelevant to the gameplay for the most part. What you're really doing is you'll see that there's like a gap that you can't jump across, and you'll have to figure out, can I throw my yo-yo string in a certain pattern that will unlock a switch to give me a bridge to get over there. You get lots of power-ups along the way that allow you to do different things like swing on your yo-yo or fight with it in different ways. And so the game is really just about puzzle solving and exploration, and you really actually have to stop and think about how you're going to get through each screen of each sort of dungeon throughout the game. And I enjoyed it. It got a little frustrating in parts. I felt like some of the power-ups just were like, using them with the controls just didn't feel good. It felt like you were kind of doing the thing that you were supposed to do, and it didn't always execute on screen. And I almost fell off of it at the end. I felt like it kind of lasted a little bit longer than I wanted it to. But then sort of the last section like picked back up, and you got to do a really lot of cool things in it, and I liked it a lot. Thought the ending paid off well. So Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo is my number 4 game. I finished it, and I did enjoy it quite a lot. And it's a very short game, maybe 10 hours. Maybe 12 if you like try to get all the power-ups and stuff, which certainly isn't required. My number 3 game is a really cool little French indie studio developed game called Clair Obscur Expedition 33. This game I don't think anybody really had on their radar coming into the beginning of the year, but it really blew up big, and it blew up fast, and it had some great voice acting, great soundtrack, great art, and I thought the story was just really compelling and cool. Basically, the hook for the story is that there's this world and sort of this town that is basically like a section of post-apocalyptic Paris. And off in the distance, kind of in the ocean, you can see there's this giant woman. I think they call her the paintress. And every year at the same time, she emerges and she paints a number on a big rock, and it's counting down. And so it started at, say, like 100, and everyone who was age 100 or older died. And then the next year it was 99, 98, etc. So on the year that each age group is going to die, the town started to send expeditions out in a boat to the island that they could see to try to go, like, figure out what is going on, where this paintress came from, could they defeat her somehow, and kind of put an end to this thing where they're dying off, because obviously it's ticking down every year. And so eventually, when you get young enough, there's not going to be anybody left who's old enough to survive, right? Like the human race will essentially die off. So that's the hook for the story, which I thought was really a neat idea. And you play as the members of Expedition 33, so you're a bunch of 33-year-olds basically going off to try and defeat this villain, this antagonist that's set up at the beginning. But there's just a lot more to, like, who is involved, who they encounter once they get there, how they can defeat her, and then there's some big story twists throughout, left and right, that just nothing is what you really think it is in this game. I did think that this game is in 3 acts. I thought the 3rd act was kind of weak. I wasn't super enthusiastic about where the story ended up going. And I thought the open world in the 3rd act is basically designed like an old school JRPG to make you do a lot of grinding to defeat some of these like super high level enemies that can one-hit KO your party. It's basically a turn-based JRPG style game with a lot of parry and dodge mechanics and some really cool ways that you can combine power-ups and skill points that you get to fight the enemy. So that part of it is what really hooked me. It was the parrying and the dodging. Once you get it down and learn it, it's so satisfying. And then the skill trees are really fun to play with too. And there are a lot of different characters with vastly different play styles to put in and out of your party. And the whole thing is just really fun to play with, and you never get bored of the combat, even though it's an old school sort of turn-based type of combat. Um, so I liked it a lot. I didn't really like a lot of the kind of grindy stuff that they threw in at the end, but all of that stuff is optional. You can just kind of sprint to the finish and finish the game without having to grind, as long as you're just fighting your way through the normal encounters that you come across during the game. So I thought at least it's optional, and I thought from a game design perspective that piece at least is really good. And overall, I think I mostly just loved this game for the way it looked, the way it sounded, and then how interesting and varied the gameplay is, to where no two battles, even if they're against the same sort of minion enemies that you encounter, no two battles are ever really the same. And I thought that was just a great take on this genre, and I really liked it. So Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is my number 3 game of the year. Number 2 is Split Fiction. This is a 2-player co-op game where you're basically playing as 2 characters who, one is an author who writes fantasy worlds, one writes science fiction worlds, and they get sort of trapped together inside of like sort of a VR simulation by a nefarious corporation that's trying to steal these authors' ideas and publish them and make a bunch of money on their own. So the story-wise, it's like very relevant to where we are with AI and like all kinds of post-capitalist things that are going on in the world. And then the story that happens between the 2 characters as they come to know each other and experience each other's worlds and past and everything is also pretty good, I think. But the real meat of this is the gameplay, and how every single time you change worlds and levels, the gameplay itself changes. So you might be cyber ninjas with glowing neon katanas in one level, and you might be pigs that traverse the world by farting out rainbows in another area. And I'm not even making that up. Like, that is exactly something you do in this game. There's a section where you turn into little metal balls and you have to roll around on platforms. It's like Mario Party transformed into an action game, if that makes sense. Like, every level is some new kind of game to play. And it's a ton of fun. It's basically a third-person action platformer at its core. And the way I played this game is my daughters played it, and I sat with them on the couch, and when they got stuck on something, one of them would hand me the controller, and I'd help them through it, hand them back. There are some very difficult parts of this game. My youngest daughter fell off around the halfway mark, but she's 6, and she was actually 5 when she was playing this. And she was actually able to make it through about half of the game with her older sister. So that's pretty good. Tells you the game's not super difficult, but it does get harder in terms of timing out some of the platforms, some of the combat areas and things as the game goes on. So the back half of the game mostly was me and my older daughter, who's 8, finishing this one. And we completed the whole game, saw credits, and let me tell you, it's interesting. Like, this game gets better the longer it goes. Like, every new idea they unveil is better than the first one, which makes it feel like it's a little slow at first. And I think maybe some people might fall off, and I wish they wouldn't, because every single level does something just more mind-blowingly incredible and fun in this game. And I think it's really great. And then the final battle and like final area does something that I don't even know how it's possible. I've never seen another game do it. I don't know how they did it. I don't want to spoil it, but I can promise you that if you make it to the final area of Split Fiction, you will see and experience and play through something you've never done in a video game, and you'll be like getting up out of your seat to see if your TV is broken, and just trying to figure out how the heck they are doing this. And I mean, it's incredible. Really loved it. Like I said, did the whole playthrough with with my kids, and then actually started another playthrough with my girlfriend, and we made it pretty far too. And it's just like so fun, like ultimate, like unlimited replay value. Great game, Split Fiction. Highly recommend it, and it's the art's great too. Like very colorful, bright game. Like I said, Cyber Ninja, cyberpunk stuff, and then the next minute you're like riding dragons through beautiful castles and green landscapes and things. So, okay, just to review, number 5 was Donkey Kong Bonanza. Number 4 was Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo. Number 3 was Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Number 2 was Split Fiction. And my number 1 game of 2025 was Avowed. And this game came out pretty early in the year, I think around February. And it caught me off guard because I was not gaming very much at the time. I had been in a gaming funk for months, hadn't really played anything. And when Avowed came out, I decided to just sort of dabble in it because it looked really interesting and it looked similar to me to one of my favorite games of all time, which is Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. And it is very similar to that game. It's also very similar to the Elder Scrolls games. It also pulls in elements of Dragon Age and Mass Effect and just some of the greatest games of all time. I feel like all got rolled into a ball and put into Avowed. And I love the story. I love that the game reacts to your decision making and completely changes based on your choices. I think that there are, I forget how many endings possible in this game. I think around a dozen. It's crazy, and there's so many different classes and skills and weapon types. I mean, you can do first person sword and shield if you want to run the game like that, or you can do as I did. I did mostly third person magic based with wands. But there's everything in between that. There's archers and the typical rogues with daggers, and the big warriors with hammers and maces, and like any sort of class style and armor and weapon style that you like from the RPG genre pretty much is available in this game. And they all look great on your character. You can go into third person mode and sort of walk around these beautiful artistic landscapes and see the armor on your character and all that sort of stuff. And it's just really, really fun and beautiful, and the quests don't feel like just fetch quests. Every little side quest and main quest, they all feel meaty and like they have relevance to the story, and there's multiple ways to approach them, and the combat is just fun. And I like a good action RPG style combat where it's not just button mashing, but you're really thinking about the spells that you're casting and sort of the orders that you're giving to your party members and all that sort of stuff. It's great. And then the thing I think that made me really like it the most is that this game has so many rewards for exploration. You see like a little cave in the side of an ocean cliff, and you wonder to yourself, is that just sort of like kind of there? Can I go inside that? Is there anything I need to look at inside that cave? And you go down there and maybe there's a skeleton with a rare weapon, or maybe you find a scroll that gives you a side quest that you would have never gotten any way else. There's always some reward for exploration in this game, and it never feels cheap, like you're just picking up junk like in a Bethesda game, like a Fallout or something, or in one of the cases of a game that came out this year, Outer Worlds 2, right? And like there's none of that sort of RPG junk loot, so to speak. There's just stuff that you will find that is valuable, or that you might want to use with another character, or there's a great little story bit that you'll come across that you wouldn't have gotten for any reason other than you just thought, I wonder if I can climb to the top of that, or I wonder if I can swim through there. There's just so much reward for exploration in this game, and I love a game that keeps you curious throughout and kind of encourages you to just sort of play the way that you want to play it and make decisions, and you get great art, great music, fun combat all the way throughout, and you get so much customizability in your class, weapon, armor sets, and your skill trees for your various skills and spells. So I honestly like don't have even a single nit to pick with Avowed. I think it's a nearly perfect game. I'm surprised that it didn't get more critical acclaim this year, like Claire Obscure did and some other games did. And I think that might be because it is a little old school feeling. I mentioned how much it feels like Kingdoms of Amalur, which was originally, I think, an Xbox 360 game back around 2008 to 10 era, somewhere around there maybe. So that's the kind of game, again, I mentioned at the beginning of the video, that I really enjoy, and that was sort of like the golden era of gaming for me personally. Those are the types of games that I enjoy, and they don't make a ton of them anymore. And so Avowed really struck those chords for me, and I loved it a lot. And so that was my game of the year. Again, I rolled credits. I did beat that game and enjoyed it very much. And when I look at what's out there to play right now, I don't feel super enthusiastic about gaming right now. Like I've thought about, I wonder if I should play a game. Nah, I think I'll read a book or watch a movie or go to the gym or whatever. But I would almost like rather restart Avowed and try like a different class than what I played through than play a brand new game right now. Uh, I liked it that much. I just think it has, just like Amalur, Skyrim, and some of those like kind of greatest games of all time. I put Avowed in my greatest games of all time. I think it's really, really good, and would encourage anybody who hasn't tried it to go check it out. And that's my video. So thanks for listening for another year. Maybe we'll do this again in 2026. We'll see. And until next time, have a great holiday season. Hope everyone has a happy new year. And I am Poppin' Smoke.